Let's talk a little bit about joint lock mechanics now. So joint locks, our elbow, our knee, our ankle, those are joints, in case you didn't know. And there are three methods that we're going to use to attack. One is extension, another one is compression, and the other one is rotation. So simple examples, if we start with the arms. So let me get you on your back. So an arm bar would be an example of an extension. I'm extending your arm and extending my hips. A bicep slicer would be an example of, if I can just get you to bend your arm here, I'll just do kind of a crude one here, would be an example of a compression. And then our kimura is an example of rotation. So those are the three different methods that we can use to attack a joint. By combining extension and rotation, we can add a little bit more power. The best example of that I find is the straight foot lock, straight ankle lock. Commonly, you see extension only being applied here, and I can certainly, get a tap with this. It's pretty reliable. But if I apply a bit of rotation to the movement, I can weaken you more.
So it's hard for people to see this,
yes,
but it's easy for me to feel it.
Yeah.
You're flapping your elbow down.
What I'm doing is, so your ankle, when we walk, our foot goes through this plane of motion. When we roll our ankle, our foot goes through this plane of motion. It adds rotation. Very rarely will you ever see somebody roll their ankle this way, because we're just much stronger in this alignment. So what I'm trying to do when I straight foot lock you is take the straight part away. If all I'm doing is moving you through this range of motion, your foot is very, very strong. All the tendons and muscles are aligned to either prevent that by you putting on the boot, which is the standard defense, or just even within this motion, you have more strength to absorb a little bit of pain or force. But if I roll your ankle slightly that way and then start folding it down, that increases the vulnerability. So a directly extension-based submission can easily be made more efficient by adding a little bit of rotation and then applying the extension.
Can you combine this extension and rotation for other locks?
Yeah, absolutely. So even with the arm bar, if I apply just straight extension, there's going to be a decent amount of force here applied. But if I apply a bit of rotation, and this is not only evident in the efficiency of the force generation and the ability to create damage, but in the ability to prevent movement. We were talking about primary and secondary earlier. If I get you on this side, now, you've probably seen the hitchhiker escape, and you're able to turn and you're out. So if we come back, one of the reasons that's possible is because I'm not controlling the rotation. So I'm applying an extension-based lock, but without any rotational input. So right now, you control the rotation. Mm-hmm. So not only do I want to add a rotational control element to an extension-based lock because it's more efficient for me to do the damage, but to prevent an escape. So what I try to teach is, rather than the conventional sort of thumbs up method, because right now, make that quarter turn to the thumb. Yeah, that's something that I may not always be able to prevent. But if I rotate your thumb this way, try to do the same thing, it's very difficult. And that extra rotation makes the armbar more efficient. So what I would recommend, and I know this is a departure from what is commonly taught, but with the armbar, rather than the thumbs up, for those of you that are familiar with the old Roman gladiator style, rather than saying thumbs up, thumbs down, he dies, which is, by the way, a historically inaccurate thing that came about because of Hollywood. It used to be thumbs down, he lives. So follow Hollywood, which I may never say that again in my life, and say thumbs down towards the feet, and his arm dies. And that's a good heuristic for remembering how to increase the power of your armbar, but also decrease the ability of your opponent to use a common rotational escape.
Have you seen Eric Paulson's knee bar, where he does the heel hook on the face?
Yes. Yeah. So that's something that the same thing when I teach knee bars is I want to apply rotation to your knee as I apply extension, because it makes it much more powerful than just applying the extension alone.
And again, limits
your ability to escape.
Yes.
Yeah. This falls back into, you can see how a lot of these concepts will fall into one another. This is just applying rotational control or rotational lever-based control to a submission rather than exclusively to a control.
And maybe an excellent example of using non-traditional body parts. I'll jam the guy's foot against my face, on purpose and use my face to affect a rotational lever.
Yeah, it's surprising how many analogs there are between the world of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and bizarre sexual fetishes.